Welcome back to the Blue Collar Trade Show, where real people share real stories about building, fixing, leading, and living with purpose. I'm Troy, and I'm here with the crew, Chad, Jim, Marissa. Each week we dig into lessons, have laughs, and hard-won wisdom from the folks who keep America running. Let's get into it. Okay, all right. Welcome to the Blue Collar Trade Show, everybody. I appreciate everybody joining. Today, our special guest is Jeff Rahn, who is the business owner of On Time Service Pros in Rosemont, Minnesota. I've known Jeff for a long time, and we're really, really excited to have him as our first guest of the Blue Collar Trade Show. As always, we have Chad, Jim, Marissa, and Troy. And so, Jeff, thank you very much for attending our show today. Again, sort of. Right?
It's my pleasure.
All right. So as we were talking offline a little bit, so we've had the pleasure, you and I have had the pleasure to know each other for 15, 16, 17 years now, I guess, right?
Yep.
So, and it's an amazing story. And there's a reason why we wanted you to be our first guest, right? Personal friend of mine, and you've done some amazing things. So at the Blue Collar Recruiter Virtual Trade School, master's class, all the different things we have going on, what we're trying to build here is what you've accomplished and are still accomplishing, right? Building a great business, building a great team, and literally, at least in my opinion, starting from square one to do it. And so when all the time, so Chad, definitely, because he's got a trade school down in his office. Jim talks to students all the time. Marissa talks to candidates all the time that are looking to get into the trades. And the question is what can I do with this, right? What's my path? What's my career path? And your story, Jeff, is what I've told to no less than 1,000 people. And so the coming from the Air Force, right? You were in the Air Force for how long?
4 years.
As jet mechanic or something like that, right?
Yep. Aircraft mechanic.
And then when you left the Air Force, you were in Michigan at the time, if I remember right?
Right.
Detroit area? Because I know
Just
you have
outside.
you have that Tigers tattoo. I remember that. There it is. And you wanted to get into the HVAC business because of why? Tell everybody why.
Because it gets cold in Minnesota and hot in Minnesota, so I'll always be working.
It just made sense, right? So anyway, the story I've always told everybody who wanted to get into the trades is I tell the Jeff story, and I say I hired this guy as an installer back in 2008, and within 3 years, the guy was running the place, and within 3 years, 3 years after that, he owned the place.
Yep,
right?
2 years later.
I don't know anyone else that has accomplished that feat. Do you?
No. That's why I told you I'm the luckiest man alive.
The luckiest man alive. Yep. His introduction, he said, I don't want you to mention my kids or my business. Just tell everybody I'm the luckiest man alive.
Well, so many things had to fall in place because I could have been the exact same person with the same drive and the same everything. But if I land in another company, maybe the person isn't Troy Ladd, where he's like, hey, come here, let me show you this, or explaining things about the business, or maybe that opportunity doesn't happen, or, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that fell into place for me to get there. I mean, I learned a lot. I didn't know what a top line, bottom line, margin line, any line. I knew I had to park between the lines. That's about all I knew as an installer.
Okay. All right. So let's tell everybody the story. So this is from your version, my version, your version, hopefully they're synced up, right? Because I've told it so many times and I hate to be called a liar or get called out on national podcast live here. Right. But, so you came, we had a business there that we probably had 40 people or so at the time, maybe, I don't know, but we were hit, when I joined the business in 2001, it was a 70-year-old business that kind of did the same thing. I came on and we did some things, improved processes, changed brands, did all kinds of different things and just made the business better. And it quickly grew. It quickly grew through some pretty tough times. And we got to a point where we were doing so well that we almost didn't even advertise for jobs, right? People were just coming in to, I want to work there. I want to work there. I want to work there. Because the word on the street was out, right? That we were a pretty good place to work. You were one of those guys, right? Came in, said, I know HVAC. I want to be an installer. I'll do anything you want me to do. And I said, all I have is a part-time install position. If you want it, you can start tomorrow or whatever. That's what I remember. Right. So
Yep.
that's and then from there, you came on, install, service tech, service manager, sales, operations, and then I needed a GM. So how did those transitions happen? What do you think you did? Because it wasn't one thing or one person. It wasn't me saying, "Hey, Jeff, you need a promotion." So tell everybody what your vision was at that time. So you started, and what were your goals? Talking to your wife.
So for one, I made good money working at the airlines, and I needed to make good money because I had a wife and 2 kids and a house and all that kind of stuff. And anybody who goes into entry level HVAC doesn't make a fortune. So I had to get myself going. So, when I was an installer and when the service tech position came available, I put my name in for that and got a promotion to service tech. And then operations manager was one of my goals because I was a lead at the airline, and I liked, being in charge and working with guys and helping guys or training guys and stuff like that. So when the operations manager position came in, I put my name in the hat for that. I did energy audits for a short time. Was a fun thing. I learned a lot about the house and all that kind of stuff. And some of it was just, when I put in for the GM's position, I never wanted to get fired, Troy, and I needed to get to the top so nobody could fire me.
I don't want to get fired either.
Oh,
No
man.
way.
That's a good reason.
But so some of it was the drive. I've told this story, not to you, but some of the people here. When I came to work there, I wasn't like a real company guy, and we got to toe the line and we got to follow processes and stuff. But the way you presented it and the way that you showed that if you do this, it works and you do better, I bought in completely. And in fact, we still run most of the same systems. They're polished up a little bit more. They have a little more to them, but deep down inside, it's basically the same systems we learned when I came here to work. And I believe in them, and I push them, and I expect people to follow them, and that's how we get better.
So what do you think it was for you? So you came in in the field level, but you knew you wanted to be a manager of some sort, and then kind of go through the chain. And maybe you didn't know, hey, I wanted to buy this thing 10 years from now or 4 years from now. But what made besides just getting a bigger paycheck, what made you want to lead people versus follow, I guess?
Well, okay. So when I was being interviewed by one Troy Latiff, he said, how did he say it? We have some opportunities for sales. And I said, well, I'm not a salesman, right? Because I was like everybody, other technician. I picture like some used car salesman trying to trick people into buying stuff. And you said, really? Well, what motivates you? And I said, so I'm a team player. I will never let the team down, and I will never disappoint your customers, and I'll work harder than anybody else you have. And you said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it worked. Right.
No.
What's that?
Things not to say to Troy. I'm writing them down.
I hope you got notes yet. But that's how I am, man. I like, I've had the blessing or the benefits or whatever you want to call it of people coming in my office and saying, you know what, Jeff, when I started here, I was deeply in debt on credit cards, and, didn't have a place to live, and blah, blah, blah. And we bought a house, and I got married, and now we're moving into a bigger house. You know what I mean? To me, that is, it don't get any better than that.
No, I agree.
To know that you help some guy along in his life. I think that's a great thing.
Well, let me ask you this, Jeff, just to help the next guy out. You were in the military. I'm sure that had a great deal to do with your discipline and work ethic. But you see guys come in from military. You see guys that you ask them where they want to be at in 5 years, and they say that I want your job and those things, and they want to do better for themselves. But you don't really see very many people. You're the only one I've ever heard of to do it in 3 years, right? You might want to check the Guinness World Book of Records, because I really think that's unique. But more realistically, 5-7 years. But you don't really, not a lot of people are doing that. So what was your secret? What was the Jeff Rahn special sauce there that drove you like
You know, I had somebody that was willing to give me a hand named Troy, and I was willing to work as hard as I had to get as much as I could out of the job. You know, it disappoints me a lot seeing some of these guys where they're just satisfied with where they are. I've never been satisfied. I've just and uh, the president of the company we get our furnaces and ACs from says, "Hey, how's your November? Oh, never mind. I know you weren't satisfied." It's just it's like a part of me. I always feel
That
we
seems
could do
like a
so much
running
better.
theme, Marissa.
What's
Yeah.
what's that?
Yeah.
I'd say we just had a call just like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because I feel like if I'm satisfied, everybody stops.
Yeah.
And if I'm satisfied, nobody's going to push themselves anymore. You know, I mean, I have meetings with the managers and they're like, "Well, I mean, I think we're doing pretty good." Pretty good. Who wakes up every morning and says, "Man, I hope I do pretty good today." You know what I mean? It's like, that's ridiculous. You're going to run, I tell people all the time, you're going to run 4 calls a day. You can make 60,000 or 120,000 and you get to decide. But you have people who go and say, "Yeah, I made 60." You know,
they're
it's just,
complacent.
yeah, and you can usually see it, and then they'll get married or they'll buy a boat or they'll buy something that needs a lot of money. And then all of a sudden they kick it up a notch. And then, I don't know. I've always wanted to make more money. I'm not a rich person or whatever, but I like telling my family, yes, they want to go to Disney World for Christmas. Okay, let's go. You know what I mean? I like saying yes to things instead of, I don't think we got money for that.
Right.
One of the things I remember, and I want to expand on this because to your question, Chad, about the military and that sort of thing, we can expand on. But for you, Jeff, what I remember is a guy, and what made me, when you came on, I mean, that initiative, I don't remember every conversation we had, but I remember the first conversation and the initiative of just hire me and I'll prove myself to you. I'll take anything you have. That means something to an owner, right? Somebody who's just like, give me the ball. Right.
What do you got? Yeah.
Give me the ball. And then at every turn, you were a sponge, right? And you didn't argue about it. You didn't piss and moan about it. You just tell me more. You wanted to learn more. And my gut tells me that you're still like that. You're sucking, you're sponging off of people that you probably just hired as much as you're sucking or sponging off of people that you've known for 20 years. Well, you know what I mean, right? So it's, I mean, there's people that, I think you can learn from anybody, right? Tell me your opinion about that.
Yeah. And there's so many books and so many different articles and so many things that, if you're not digging into all that, you're just missing out. My wife will tell me, "I think you should stop reading workbooks and read something fun for a little while." Because, I just always feel I can get better at my job.
That's what movies are for. That's what I always say.
And I'm close to retirement within the next couple of years. So, but I still read all kinds of books on human interaction, how to talk to people, how to communicate better, how to, all of those things are so important. And like I said, I don't understand why you would come to work every day with all of those options, all those opportunities. You could come in here and I could punch you out for the day and spend a whole day working on communication skills that would make you a fortune. And I'll pay you to work here and do that. Nobody walks in the office. And I think that's what I probably give myself the most credit for is if you were sitting there at your desk, I stop by to ask questions and I stop by to, well, what do you mean by that? Or how does this work? Or, so having both, having the drive to do it, but also having somebody there to help and to give those answers and stuff. We're just huge.
Let me ask you about your team, Jeff. You say you got 90, team of 90 or something?
Yep. Yes,
How
sir.
many of those 90 are the new generation?
Well, I would have to say that we probably have a dozen or so. Maybe more. I guess it depends on what the new generation is.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Gen Z?
Yeah, like Marissa's generation.
What about millennial?
She's millennial. She's old.
Okay, the one after Marissa,
Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z. I can't keep.
I don't know. We probably have.
I'm with you, Chad. I can't remember them.
I can't.
I would say we have, a dozen or so, maybe a little bit more than that.
So maybe you know where I'm going with this because they're catching a bad rap out there, and we don't want to stereotype nobody, right?
Right.
So are we in trouble with this new generation, or can we work with them?
I think we just have to learn how to work with them. I mean, so like when I first took over, it was the millennials that were coming out, and it was like, oh my God, these millennials, they're horrible. And I went to a training, and the guy started with a quote that was, if it's left to this new generation, the world is truly doomed. And it was Socrates. And one of his students was Plato. Not Pluto. Plato.
Plato, right.
And not
Troy
the,
was
not
like
the
the
stuff
dog.
you can, yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't smell good. Yeah.
But so, yeah, I think everybody, I tell people all the time, my grandfather would say that I've never worked a day in my life because all I do is sit at a desk. You know what I mean? But with the millennials, they just want to know what you're looking for. What is the goal? And I'll find a way to get there. Right. My generation was go pick up that rock and move it over there and don't complain about it. You know what I mean? That's kind of how we were taught. And every generation just has their own way of learning. I think that, I think they're confused on a lot of things, and I think that they're their own problem much of the time. But you find some studs in that group too. One of our best guys right now is I think he just turned 23.
Yeah, I say that too all the time. It's I don't care what I know a lot of people that are in Gen X that were lazy,
Mhm.
Yeah.
really lazy, right?
For sure.
And I know a few people that work for me on the Gen Z side that are they're awesome, right?
Mhm.
So with everything, it comes down to personality, right? If you can hire.
Yeah.
So you said you're doing you obviously, if the business is doing well based on the people that you hire, you must have some magic trick of hiring the best people all the time, never making mistakes.
No, we make a lot of mistakes, but we clean them up quickly.
So
It's,
tell us about that. I mean, that's really what makes it work, right? If you can
Yeah.
hire the right people, it makes everything easy.
Yeah, I think, we have a pretty good system for interviewing, which probably doesn't look like anything anybody's ever taught in a school on how to do interviews. We usually find out what they like to do outside of work, and we talk about that, or we'll talk about whatever. We clown around a lot because I want to see what the person really looks like. What is their personality really like? And if I would think to myself, I'd have a beer with this guy, I would hire him. If I think, boy, he's annoying, he ain't got a chance, But if,
That's it?
some people sneak through.
Pretty simple.
So, Jeff, do you think that like the personalities as important or more important or less important than
Way more
there's
important. Because
Yeah.
we're going to have, even though somebody's been doing HVAC or plumbing or electrical for years, they're still going to have to learn how to do it our way. So
Yeah.
you're still going to have some kind of technical training or some kind of other training to go along. But you can't teach somebody a good personality, or you can't teach them how to be good to your customers or whatever. If they're not a good person, or they're lazy, or they're whatever, it's just not going to work. So
How would you vet? What kind of questions would those be to vet somebody out from a personality? How would they treat your grandmother type of questions? How do you? What's
like I
your
said,
approach?
mine are more just personality things. I find out somebody works on their cars, I talk to them about cars. If they, if you've ever seen the girl that does our HR, she's just a crack up, and so we'll be laughing and carrying on about stuff that has nothing to do with anything. And if the person keeps up and adds in and plays along, they're probably going to be a pretty good fit. You're
Do
probably
you-
hoping there's like some kind of a serious scientific way that I go about this stuff. There's not.
It's a gut call. It's really just a gut check. It sounds like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than that, but do you meet with everybody or just?
Yep. I'm involved with every interview. And I would say the only real organized questions I ask, or the questions that I go to the most, I learned from you. One is, so what did you like about your last job? And what did you not like about your last job? And somebody who goes on complaining about their last job is going to be complaining about this job soon. So if you're going to complain in the interview, if you're going to badmouth the other place, I like somebody to say, it was a good company, we didn't work out, or I didn't get along, or whatever. But if they start badmouthing the other company, they're probably not going to make it in. Right? I don't like negative personalities. So if you're going to be negative, go somewhere else. I don't like
Where
that
do you
here.
get tripped up? Where do they trick you? Right? Because so you and I are a lot alike that way. I use my gut instincts on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? So
Mhm.
where do they get you sometimes?
Some people are really good liars. Seriously, I think that some people are
Yeah.
very, very good liars, and they know what interview is going to be like, so they give you the canned answers, and so they might make it through. Or, yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest one. Or they've been in so many interviews that they're very good at them. That's been
Yeah.
kind of a warning sign. If their answers are too good, you got to try to decipher that.
So if I told you I'm the best HVAC service tech there is, would you believe me?
What's that?
If I said I was the best HVAC service tech there is, do you believe me?
Not if we discuss shuffleboard. That would blow it for you.
All you'd have to do, Jeff, is ask her to see your tape measure.
Yeah.
You don't need a
If
tape
she
measure
doesn't
for
have a tape
HVAC?
measure.
Yeah, we figured out already that Marissa has. It looks like you fixed your blind. So, but did you get a tape measure?
No, that's another window. The other ones I just have curtains, and I have new ones that are like came ironed or nice,
Oh,
and they're cute.
that does sound nice. All
Yeah,
right.
Amazon.
So Jeff, talk a little bit about the growth that you've seen with the business, and the reason I bring that up is I know where you're located, and talk about that a little bit because I think the growth that you've had is pretty remarkable considering where you're located. So could you kind of expound on that a little bit?
Sure. We're located south of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. We don't do any work inside the Twin Cities, Minneapolis or St. Paul. We do everything in the suburbs and in rural areas. And and we're still priced with the big guys. But it's the same thing they've talked about since the beginning of time with sales, right? People don't buy a product, they're buying you. And so, we run a very good show. We explain, we educate our customers. We give them all their options. We answer their questions, and we let them decide what they want to do. And it's very simple, and it probably sounds boring, but if you read our reviews, they would say they educated me, they answered my questions, they did what they said they were going to do, which makes you wonder, what are the other people doing? They're not answering their question.
Right. Yeah.
Refuse to answer that question, ma'am.
Well, it's the trick that nobody seems to understand in the home services world of if you just let people buy things, they probably will.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazon
But,
exists.
You just have to show it. You just have to let them know what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Amazon exists because people like to spend money, right? And they don't have to call them up and try to sell them anything. They just show them what's available. And I think, that's probably our biggest thing. Obviously we have a lot of training to get the customer to relax, to go through the process in a certain way, take control of the call, all the same old things that we learned when I first started here. There's really I watch videos all the time of the new training techniques, and it's like, wow, that looks awfully like I learned in 2008.
It really is. It's funny because I've been in sales for many, many years, and they changed the name of things, but it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's just offering a product, and like you said, talking to the customer and educating them, and giving them the option to buy it.
Yeah.
And with the training that you do, when someone starts with you, let's say just as a service tech, how long before you consider them qualified, if you will? I mean, what kind of training programs do you have?
I want to say for HVAC, it's probably a week long, and none of it is really working on equipment. All of it is, here's how you arrive at the house. Here's the phone call on the way to the house. Here's how you arrive at the house. Here's how long it should take you to get out of your truck. All the same. Wave at the house. It's really the same things. I mean, we have like a few other things we do besides that, but for the most part, if you do that, you're going to be successful.
Right.
I was talking with Brad, my sales manager, and he's been here longer than anybody. And I said to him, it sounded like that guy didn't take control of the call. And he said, well, there's something we haven't talked about in a long time, is taking control of the call, right? How do you, you didn't go to the thermostat first? It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? You should have all that stuff down. I haven't run a call since 2011. I bet I could do it exactly like Troy taught me back then.
Yeah. I can't
Just
do
because
it
I
any other
practiced
way.
it, I rehearsed it,
So if
because
you
it
hire
works.
someone from, well, it worked. If you hired someone from square one, like so it's mostly soft skills is what you're just
Yeah.
repeating, practicing.
Yeah.
Is it in the shop? Is it in the field? Is it watch me? Is it ride-alongs? Do you do a lot of
It's
ride-alongs?
it's all in the shop, and then operations managers do it a little different depending on what they're comfortable with. Some do all the training right away. We have a whole booklet they have to go through and get signed off and all that. And then they'll do ride-alongs, and then the operations manager will ride with them to sign off on them. Some of them do it that way. Some of them do it where they just do some ride-alongs first and then bring them back in to do the classroom stuff. But it depends more on the operations, but all of those things will get checked off. And then the operations manager has to ride with them to make sure that they're adequate.
What if there's like a green, like you said, you hire over that character that for character quality and they don't really know anything. They have some mechanical ability. What would that track? Would it be the same thing, obviously, but a little bit more mechanical in the shop, or what or do you
Yep,
stick
it
them
would
more on
do- we have-
install team first, or what do you do with them?
We have furnaces and ACs installed in the shop that they do training on, and operations manager bugs them and stuff like that when they get to a point for that. Usually we get them trained up, and then the new guys, if you're very green like that, you'd be a maintenance tech. So you learn how to do maintenances, and you're doing maintenances, 4 maintenances a day, 5 days a week. And they're going to run into different issues with that, and they're going to learn a little bit about HVAC equipment. They're going to learn how to talk to customers and do all of those things before they have to worry, am I going to be able to fix this thing?
Yeah.
And then there's continuous training throughout the process of, we have leads here, and each lead is just a tech in the field that has so many guys under them that they can call for help. And then the lead will ride with them to make sure that they know what they're doing on jobs. So, yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yep.
Yeah. And we'll still have the tech saying, we need to do more training with these guys. Okay.
Okay, Chad. I mean, I have a bunch of questions, but I don't want to hog it all.
No, I was, what was it? I think it speaks volumes for both you and Troy's business that everything happens so rapidly. That when people think about the blue collar trades, and I think first of all, I think you're right about the generational thing. I think that every generation has always talked crap about the next generation. I mean, I just think that's just a common. If podcasts were around 20 years ago, they'd have been talking bad about my generation, and of course, my generation is the best.
Yeah.
We do anyway.
Right.
So,
So, yeah, I think you're right about that. But what was so compelling about the business, just from a 30,000 foot view, that made you wanted to swing by there and put your name in the hat, and then
some of it was, for me, some of it was that the work was slowing down. It was 2008. If you remember 2008,
Yeah.
You had so many businesses
Yeah.
going under or slowing down, and new construction companies were falling apart. And so we had to, so some of it was just looking for a company that had work. And it was like amazing to me that this company is hiring people at a time when everybody else is laying people off or doesn't have work.
Yeah.
So that was part of it. I just needed to work, man. I needed to make money. Like I said, I was 42 years old when I came here to work, and had a wife and 2 kids and mortgage payment.
Yep.
Sitting around at home is not going to pay the bills. So
Yeah, I think so like a lot of times when I'm trying to introduce blue collar trades to people that maybe don't even know anything about them, or just they go by what they heard, they believe it's just a 8-hour day of hellish torture.
Yeah.
And they've signed up for it for 40 or 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And no money.
And right, and no money. And I think it's important, and I'm so grateful that you came on today to tell your story, because it's important for people to know that there's folks that have done very, very well.
Yeah. And even, our plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys, they make good money, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible how much money you can make in these spaces. It's,
What's your highest paid guy in the field?
I would
How
say
much
the
do they make
plumber
this year?
probably makes 200.
200 grand.
Mhm.
How many people do you have of the 90 that are making 6 digits or more?
Oh, I bet almost everybody in the field. I would have to say you might have like 10, 15 guys in the field that don't. I would say the majority of them make over 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that quite a feeling?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I
Yeah,
want to
I
pay
mean,
people
good.
money. That everybody thinks that, well, you would hate it if I was. No, I want you to make money because that's how the company makes. We all win.
Right.
That was, and it's a line I still use today. I probably have to bump it up because it probably means less today with inflation. But every salesperson I've ever hired that's the same thing. Well, if you don't make 100,000, I'm going to fire you anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because that means you
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Something's wrong.
nowadays we're hiring guys, $25 an hour, I would say is probably a new guy. Well, it don't take a lot to get to 6 figures from there.
Yeah.
I mean, people might think that doesn't make sense, but with spiff programs and bonuses and, we have a match 401k, we have all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, they have it good.
So go back to your original, when you said, I have people that want it. So, I have people that want your job, right? So, but most people don't want it, right? So most
Right.
people are pretty happy and content with having something, but they don't have big aspirations, or at least in my opinion, in my case, what I get is, what do you want to be 5 years from now? And the answer I always get 9 times out of 10 is, what do you think I can be? And it's
Yeah.
like, that's really not.
Mhm.
So what advice do you have for people that really are just a little lost, right? How do you help them kind of get on a track, right? You didn't have any problem because you just you knew what you wanted to do, right? But most people get a little lost in that.
I think, and I know the podcast is supposed to make me look good, but I keep going back to Troy. But the, I was telling people not long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, that, you need to meet people where they're at. You know what I mean? So if you don't have a 5-year plan, that's okay. How can I help you today? How can I help you tomorrow? Because I didn't come into this place saying, in reality, I didn't think that in 5 years I would be the general manager. I just wanted to make sure that if I had a chance, I'm going for it, But the first few days, I remember coming in and Troy's always got to mess with everybody. And does he still do that, Chad? Mess with you?
That's all he does. That's all he does.
It's only 1,000
I-
miles away. It's a little
He
harder
does.
now.
I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do if we had a normal conversation, right?
So this was our. I would walk in the morning. I'd get a cup of coffee, and Troy would say, "Hey, how you doing today, Jeff?" And I'd say, "I'm okay." And he's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Well, why are you just okay? Well, I don't know. I just got up, went to the gym, came to work. I'm okay. Well, what would it take you to be more than okay? Right? And I will tell you this. I do it to everybody here. Hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm all right. Why are you just all right? What would it take for you to be great?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm great. Okay, well, be great then.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a different way of thinking. It's a different,
Sure.
Yeah.
Wake up and be great, or at minimum be pretty great, but never be less than pretty great.
So
when
far
somebody
I've
says
got
everything's, go ahead.
so far I've got the secret here is find a great company, don't be okay, be great, and only hire people that you drink beer with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that pretty
You
much
will be
sum it
successful.
up?
That's it, guaranteed. Book
That's a
right.
wrap.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's like
Yeah.
my diet. It's like my diet book that I haven't written yet, but I could, and it wouldn't take me very long. It's pretty short. It goes something like this: eat less, do more. The end.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah. But so what I was saying is that, if you meet people where they're at and you're there for them and you talk to them and you just ask them how they're doing every day and you bring up small talk and you start developing a relationship with them, there's no telling where that's going to go. And I feel that that's probably what got me moving forward. Was then pretty soon we're talking about the business, and then pretty soon we're talking about the one time Troy was putting a budget together and he says, we have no maintenance plans for our plumbers. So it makes it hard for me to do the budget. So I decided, well, I'm just going to sell plumbing maintenance plans. So then I went out and just started selling as many plumbing maintenance plans as I could, because not just because it made Troy's budget easier, but he had explained how that affects our business and how that helps our business to grow. Right. So you just never know if the next guy who walks in and says he's just okay, one day is going to be the leader of the company or do something great.
So when somebody said, it's the same thing. So it is funny when you talk, because some things just never change. So when somebody says right now, hey, how you doing? I'm fine. Ooh, that bad, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Because to me, fine is right below okay.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's okay, and then it's pretty good, and then it's good, and that's great, right? So it's on the low end.
He still does.
Okay, so
He still does it. So I find myself like, all right,
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. What are you today, Chad? Go.
you know, I have to be like, I'm great, man. Let's go.
Okay, so what's the business doing today? So you bought it, or you moved into general manager, you ran it for a corporation, you bought it from that corporation. And so right this second, what are you going to do 2025? You got 2 more days, so it could change a lot, right? But, it might not.
No, we'll be just a little bit over 27 million.
27 million. And you
Yep.
make some profit on that, I assume.
A little bit.
Just a little.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. And that takes a village for sure. Right.
Yeah. All the management here, except for my plumbing manager. My plumbing manager has a bunch of experience doing plumbing, got his master's license, and then I ended up hiring from another company to be our operations manager. Everybody else started. My HR started as a dispatcher. My accounting manager was a dispatcher. My call center manager was a call taker. Sales manager started stocking the shelves as a young, 18, 19-year-old Metallica fan.
Still a Metallica fan, I assume.
Of course.
I'm trying to think. So our operations manager for HVAC, we just promoted him. He worked in the field for a bunch of years for us. And the electrical operations manager started in the field. In fact, he didn't even have any electrical experience. He worked for the cable company, installing cable. And now he's a master electrician in Minnesota and has his master's in Wisconsin.
Pretty awesome.
So,
That's pretty cool.
Really
So a
cool.
lot of homegrown talent.
yeah, and I like telling people that, when they interview, because if that's something you look for, there's opportunities here. And that's how I felt my job is from when I first started, is that my job is to grow the business. So there's opportunities for installers when they want to, man, my body can't take it anymore. I hate to tell them, well, you'll have to find a different job. You know what I mean? I would like to have an opportunity for them to be able to work here.
How do you feel like you retained everyone so long? So do you think that you're, obviously it's what's with your team culture and everything. So I guess from a manager and owner, how do you create a positive team culture to make them want to stay with you and grow?
Yeah. I view my job, I'm just one of the guys, right? We all have jobs to do. Mine comes with an office. Some other people's, theirs comes with a truck. We all just have different jobs. And, I go around and check on how everybody's doing. I did install with some of our installers. I did service with some of our service techs, so I just keep that relationship as close to how it was before. And people seem to like it,
Yeah, I feel like it does. It makes, I think if you have a personal connection, it would make them work harder for you than if it was.
I wouldn't go that far, but they stay.
No, I think so. Maybe. And then I have another one actually. So do you also feel like you manage everyone the same, or do you kind of adapt based on, you maybe have a certain management style for one versus another, or is it all the same?
I think everybody needs a little bit something different. I call them buttons to push, right? It's the same thing as I tell them with their text. You got to find out what button you have to push in order to get that guy going.
Yeah.
Same thing for managers. You need to know. I have one manager that I can go in and just yell at, and it just bounces off him, and he knows that it's fine. I have another manager. If I did the same thing, he would probably cry and run away.
I'd cry.
Do you? Sure, I don't yell at me so much.
Yeah, I know. Every night.
But everybody's a little different. But I try to be I want the results to be the same. The way we get there might be different, but if I don't allow this guy to do something, I don't allow that guy to do it, or that guy, right? I want consistency and outcome, but probably not the same as far as how I talk to him or deal with him or anything.
Okay.
Consistency is the word, right? That even though your role and your position and your conversations might look a little different, but the rules are the same, right?
Yeah.
It's, we're going to do the right thing, right? For everybody. That's the goal. And if we do, everything else works out.
And people get it. I'll tell them, I would tech come in and say, hey, Jeff, can I start doing this from now on? Or, some odd thing or whatever. And I'll say, you know what? Let me ask around. Because if I ever told somebody no, then I'm going to have to tell you no. But if I've never had that come up before, we'll take a look at it. Because I don't want to sit there and all of a sudden this guy's mad because I told him he can't do something, but now I'm letting somebody else do it.
I'll be a hypocrite. Yeah.
Right.
Same thing when I hire people, every now and then people ask how much they would make if they started working for us. It used to be a game of mind and choices. We wouldn't tell them when we hired them how much they were going to make. It would be a surprise. When Troy hired me, he said, I'll tell you this, you won't make less than you're making right now. I'm like, okay, sign me up.
And it's true, right?
People will ask. I don't even like when they ask, but people will ask, so how much am I going to make? And I'll say, here's the way I do it is I'll sit down and I'll look where your experience falls into our group. And I'll hire you right where you fit with your experience. And you'll have 90 days. If you're better, you'll get a raise. If you're not, you won't. But I don't want to hire somebody and have somebody making less training them. And that's what I explained to them. And to a person, I've hired a lot of people at a lot less than what they wanted to make. And I ended up bringing them up afterwards because they proved that they were worth it. But I did one time not realizing it. I hired an installer, and the installer that was training him made like $1 an hour more. And he was like one of our best installers. So I gave all the installers raises because I don't want them to make less. And I don't want those kind of problems lingering around the shop.
I'm a firm believer of that as well. Really. And it gets tricky because the market demands sometimes higher hourly wages. And when they come in and they think they're going to get that, I can't do that to my team ever.
Right.
Have.
Right.
So I sell the position kind of the same way that you do. So,
and I've done it before where, we sat down and we gave our whole call center a raise, like a couple dollars an hour, because we had somebody we really wanted and they wouldn't come down on their numbers, but I'm not going to hire you at more than what the people who work here make.
Yep.
And you want to see people's face light up, tell them I just gave everybody a $2 an hour raise. They like the new person.
No, that's
a great way to build camaraderie right there.
Yeah.
With the new person.
And if you look at, big picture, $1 or $2 an hour raise, it doesn't really affect your bottom line much. Yeah. And if you can build morale and you can get that person a good start and everybody's happy, I think it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a part of your success as well. That meter of, integrity that you have there.
Yeah.
Plus it'd be a big pain in the what if that news ever gets out amongst the team.
It will.
But and it will. No matter how many times you say
it always does. Yeah.
But I think that speaks volumes for your character, your integrity. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think, I know, having worked at other companies, I remember the company I worked at before this, which we ended up buying like 2 years ago. I had worked there for a couple of years before coming here, and then we ended up buying them. But when I worked there, I started as doing new construction, and all of a sudden I'm doing retro work, and they're sending me to do jobs by myself. And I'm like, I think I should be getting a raise here. So I go in, I build up all the courage and ready to go and fight for this raise. And they're like, oh yeah, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago and you should get something. So then I'm mad when I leave because I'm like, well, then why didn't you give it to me a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean,
right. Yeah.
So what I tell people is, especially our managers, if you have somebody who deserves a raise and you're not giving it to them, you're not paying attention to if you have that's like, wow, he's really outproducing this other guy and you're not giving him anything. I mean, if I was that guy in the field, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of the team, what have you ever seen anybody on your team, either the current team you have or any time? Have you ever seen anybody do a true 180? And what I mean is, because it sounds like, you probably want more for some people than they want for themselves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that everybody on this call probably feels that way sometimes around this show. But have you ever seen anybody where you really pull them aside? You're like, look, man, you're late all the time. You don't have your proper uniform on. You know, you're not doing the presentation in the field. And I don't mean the temporary spark of life that comes out.
Yeah.
I'm talking about somebody that changes their whole career, does that 180, and goes on to have a successful story like you.
Yeah. Yep. I have a guy, I won't use his name in case this becomes really famous, and then he would be embarrassed. But
What do you mean?
and so
case?
When?
Yeah.
he was kind of a mess as a tech. I mean, he went through tech school. We hired him. You know, we called him Eeyore because it was like that's how he acted every time you saw him, and he was so depressed. And you know, he did really poor service, and he just wasn't getting there. And we sat down. We called it the crossroads speech. And I just said, "Look, man, we're at a crossroads, and either you're going to become great and stay here, or you're going to find a new job. And I'm here to help you in any direction you want to go." And you know, some other things happened. You know, he had like what do you call it, like breathing problems when he was sleeping. He got a mask and all that stuff. But right now he's like our best selling tech. He's you know, he probably comes close to 200,000 a year.
Nice.
But yeah, most of them, the trend you see every day is what you're going to get for the next however many years.
No, I know. Yeah, and it's hard to say goodbye sometimes, but
Yeah.
meet him at the crossroads, send him on.
It's not always
Yeah.
that hard.
Yeah.
The old change people or change people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't have any remorse for it. I don't feel bad when I have to let people go or anything. And I was telling my daughter's our call center manager, and she had to let somebody go the other day. And she's like, "Oh, I just get I can't take it, you know, and all this stuff." And I said, "Look, here's how I view it. People get what they earn. If you deserve a raise, you earn that raise. If you're getting fired, you earn that firing. You know, so
Yeah.
we've given you every chance we can. You know, nowadays we document everything. You go through probably a few conversations that you're not pulling your weight or whatever. And if they're surprised they're getting fired, they're not paying attention, man. They're just, you know."
Have you ever had any funny firing stories?
Yeah, I almost got in a fight with a guy, really old guy. I mean, he had to be 80, and he got all kinds of, you know, jumping up and yelling at me and stuff like that. We were telling him we were firing him. And I'm not except for earlier today, I'm not the most patient person. And and so basically I just told him to get out of my office, and he says, "Well, you have to provide me a ride." I said, "Call Uber." I had like some colorful language on top of it, and then he stood up and started pointing at me, and I was pointing at him, and then the operations manager like grabbed him and pulled him out of the shop because he thought I was going to come across the desk at him. But most of them are either they cry or they realize that it was coming, and they know that it's over, so they just go. We had one guy who they terminated him. He was an electrician. He went out into the back of the truck and just started smashing things and taking things off the truck and breaking them. But it was the way where it was parked was right in front of a camera. So we have him on tape or video destroying everything. So we put charges against him for property damage or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, but most of them, like I said, nowadays we go through so many steps to make sure that it can't be determined as a wrongful termination or anything like
Right.
that. They if they haven't gotten a clue, they're sadly missing.
Most of the time they know it's coming. Most of the
They
time
know. Yeah.
it's like when people quit too. It's like, well, when did they quit? November 1st. Well, when was their last day? July 1st, right? It's just like
Right. Yeah.
they-
Yeah.
most people quit long before they quit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. We have
Or leave.
yeah, I think, you know, And it goes on, and I explained to my daughter, I said, in all the time I've been here, 2 people have retired, John O'Connor and Beth. Those are the only 2 people I know that retired. Everybody
It's
else
an-
is moving somewhere else. So if
Yeah.
people are leaving, that's just part of the business. And I'll tell you what, there's some people who have been here so long, they get very comfortable. And it almost does everybody a favor by them going somewhere else just because it relights a spark underneath them and it gives
Yeah.
us room to bring somebody else in.
What would you say to Jeff Rahn 2008, 2010 maybe, right now? If you had a time machine and could say, "Hey, buddy," what would you say to yourself to not
Ooh.
do again?
To not do again?
Yeah, or to do again would be easy. So
Yeah.
what would you not do again if you
Oh,
could?
some of them can't be
What's the
aired.
one main thing that you're like, shit, if I wouldn't have done that?
I remember being on a cruise ship with Chad.
I had a feeling you were going to bring that up, man.
A Bimax. I got a feeling this was a Bimax cruise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a buddy who was sitting around drinking and smoking cigars one day, and he said, what would you, how did he say it? Did you ever think that the 20-year-old Jeff Rahn would turn into this Jeff Rahn or something like that? Or would you change it? Some kind of thing like that. And I
Yeah.
said, part of the reason I became like this is because of all that stuff from the past.
Mhm.
It wasn't always great. I mean, there was a lot of things that I wish, I didn't do as far as, I used to have a very bad temper, and that probably got me into a lot of trouble. But it also taught me how to control my temper. And by doing that, which my family would totally say I'm lying by controlling my temper, but that's a different story. But
It's a different podcast. We're going to have a psychological podcast next.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that most of those mistakes you make you who you are, and so you learn from them and you move on. And
If you learn,
to sit there and have regrets, I think that's a waste of your time.
What do you think? So I'm just throwing little things, right? So customer service, you're in the customer service business, right?
Yes.
They call it HVAC, they call it plumbing, they call it whatever, right? But you're in customer service. So what is it that still surprises you about homeowners today? Is there anything that you just scratch your head and go, really?
Yeah. There's so many weird things. We have an overnight person. And so if you call at 3:00 in the morning, he wakes up and answers the phone. And he'll have people call at like 3:00 in the morning and be like, I got a new credit card I need to put on file with you guys. And
Yeah.
it's like at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
There's nothing better to do at this time.
No, I know.
You didn't realize this at 4 p.m?
Oh, it happens. We get those too. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or some of the there's so many things. The one that always cracks me up is I'm looking for a little better discount. Do you know how much business I've done with you guys? I said, my wife goes to Target every day. They never give her a discount.
Me too. I might be
Nice.
here.
I love that.
Yeah.
What do they say to that? Okay.
No, usually they laugh. But, I just explained to them, we don't make our prices based on discounts like that or whatever. You know what I mean? I think that people, but they're always going to try. You always have I call them the 1%. 99% of the people you serve are going to be great. 1% are going to drive you crazy. So your life will go based on which percentage you look at. If you're going to look at the 99% or the 1%, because
That's
1%
the
will
world. That's
question your
that's
career choice.
people. That's the news. That's everything, right?
Yeah.
So, that's really the whole thing.
Yeah.
The
revolution of the internet that we've gone through, me and you and Troy and the home service industry. How much do you think that's really changed the game? Going out and having conversations with customers. And you know what I'm talking about, Jeff. You're the customer that says, I just found that online for $30. Why are you charging me $300?
I think all that has changed it to some degree. I think that the good thing is, like when I first started, that was like a new thing. Where now, I mean, we've been around it so long. I mean, you can always, you always have a response to them. I don't know. I think that everything changes. I think AI is going to change everything a whole bunch. I was just on a phone call earlier today about how that's changing things. But I think that all of it changes and you have to adapt and overcome. I sent a video out Friday. I don't remember what day it is, even with all the holidays and stuff, but I think it was on Friday. I sent one out about how businesses have to change. That's why you have to change, and you have to continually, and you have to have people that are willing to change.
No, I hear you.
If people want to stay doing the same thing they were doing in 2008, they're not going to make any money now.
What do you think it's going to look like 10 years from now?
Well,
do you have a crystal ball?
I don't.
I wish you did. That would be really great.
Yeah, it really would make things easier.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I don't know. I mean, I couldn't have predicted how we got to here from 2008. I certainly can't do the next round.
It's hard.
You just have to, keep your feelers out and keep learning from other people, keep reading, keep studying. You have to be a professional student, man. Always learning from people. I think that that's probably something that a lot of the people I know just don't view it that way. You get comfortable and that's where you stay. And man, I change things all the time. I take pride in it. It's like, hey, guess what? We're changing everything.
Yep.
That's trial and error.
And from what I know too, everybody loves it. So
yeah,
they love change. They do.
Yeah,
They do. It's
yeah.
great.
It's just like, yes, more change.
Can't wait to do this all over again.
If you don't want to change it, you could always call up Radio Shack and ask them how that turned out for them.
Yeah.
So like I always tell Troy, we don't want to get Radio Shacked. That's my say.
That's right.
Whenever
They
we're
drew a
looking at
line in the
change
sand,
stuff.
and we're not changing. All right, so let's go one more round of questions real quick, Jim.
Yeah, Jeff, with the the service background in that, how do you think that influenced you as a leader and getting to you where you're at today? Well, I know that we're doing some work with some veteran groups, and just want to get your take on that, on how that helped shape you.
I think that the great thing with the military is it might not, for one, you're never babysat. Nobody ever sits there and, Jeff, you seem like you're down today. You don't want to work. You want to take the rest of the day off. No, nobody ever said that. You learn to adapt and overcome. You learn how to make decisions for yourself. You learn to live by those decisions. You learn that when you screw up, somebody's going to let you know, and you got to stand there and take it and go about your day. My brother was in the Navy, and he told me that he figured out what maturity it was when he was standing on the deck of a ship being yelled at by some, like a butter bar that had almost no time in the Navy. And he said, yes, sir, and walked away. He said, that's maturity, because I know I could have thrown him in the water.
Right. And no one would ever found him.
Ever found him.
Yeah.
That's maturity, right? You learn how to do that. You learn how to take, there was, when I was buying the company I used to work for, the owner, Jerry, said, you know what, Jeff, you were one of the few people we had that all I would have to say is I needed you to go do something, and you went and did it. You never complained about it. You never asked questions about it. You just went and did it. I said, Jerry, until I became a manager, I didn't know there was an option. Right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
that's how it is in the service. It's not, you have a choice. You go and do things that you're told to do.
You told everybody there was an option. Who wrote
Yeah. Who screwed that up?
Yeah. All right, Marissa.
Okay. So, well, I have a question. As first, just a fun one, just because I'm curious. I saw your cup earlier, and you said something about, you like your drinks. What do you do? Like coffee, energy drinks? What kind of what keeps you fueled during the day?
I drink coffee with cream and a lot of water.
Oh. Okay.
What was that?
And-
Oh,
I keep telling her to drink more water, and she just
was
just
hoping
drinks
for a Red Bull.
Pepsi.
no, I'm not
I
a Red
don't
Bull.
like Red Bull. I was thinking maybe he likes Alani or like the Bangs or something fun.
No, I'm old. So I drink just coffee with cream and,
Okay.
Leads into water.
Oh,
and water, but so some of the water is because I had my kidney transplant,
Oh yeah.
and, they want you to drink like a gallon of water a day. So you got to drink a lot of water all day.
No, I respect that. I can appreciate that one.
Water's good for you anyways, Marissa. I think it's Troy's right. You should drink more.
You should drink more
That
water,
is.
Mercer. Yeah.
So, and then you've said a lot about like just like growing and being better every day, which I like to read books too, especially like that 1% better every single day. You should always try to be. And so I guess what are you most excited for next?
As
Ooh.
far as like books,
As far as just like your career, your life in general, your
so
next step.
we're starting a consulting business and a training business. And, like I said, I like to help people. Troy thinks it's dumb, but I like to help people.
That's so nice.
I did not say
We
that.
love
And,
that.
so I'd like to get involved with some small businesses. I was very fortunate, like I said, working for a corporation and having to report my P&L every month to them and go through it step by step, line by line, and explain what was going on with the company and what I was going to do to change it and improve it. And, a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So with this, I'm looking for those like $2 to $5 million businesses and people that want to grow to a $10 million business, and help them learn how to take their numbers and learn how to figure out their KPIs and how to manipulate the business and how to run a very good business, because most people don't have that. I'm working with
Yeah.
a guy right now that kind of the typical guy. He did sales for another company. He was a tech, then he did sales. Figured I could do this for myself. So he opened a business. Now he's got 4 people. Figures he needs to get serious about running a business. So
Right.
now we work on his KPIs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Oh, exciting.
Chad?
All right. Well, let's see. I'm currently in the middle of decorating my training class out back for our academy. And if I were to buy one of those motivational, inspirational posters, and I had an Olin Mills fadeaway picture of Jeff Rahn and
Ooh.
Olin Mills.
and a
Dude,
motivational quote,
Put your hand on your chin right now, Jeff. I want to see it.
and I had a motivational or inspirational quote to the new generation that's coming up in my school. What would Jeff Rahn put on that quote?
Man, I know some good ones, but I'm trying to think. There's one we have hanging up on one of the walls around here. It's something like, people who say it can't be done are usually passed by the people who are getting it done.
There you go.
I
Nice.
like it. See, he even had his hand on his chin too.
Yeah. We'll have to go back and screenshot that right there.
That's
It's
it.
going
Yep.
up, Jeff.
I like the faded look too, looking at the sun or the moon or something. All right. So my question, so when did you start this consulting firm, and tell us about that? So how can people reach you on this? This is pretty cool. So
Okay,
who wouldn't
so we
want to
have,
learn something from a guy like you?
So we have a website. It's On Time Business Partners. You can go there and check us out. It's I started it maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. And because my wife says, "What are you going to do when you retire? You can't just sit there." And for some reason, she thinks I can't golf every day.
What she
Which I
meant
told her,
was you can't sit by her all day. That's it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Her time.
Yeah.
But so I started thinking about it, and I'd like to do the consulting. And I actually talked to John O'Connor, and John said, "Well, when you put your plans together, send it to me and I'll let you know if I'd spend my money on it." And I was like, that makes sense. What would people be willing to pay for? What would I pay for? So I came up with a program where the consulting portion is actually ridiculously inexpensive because it's for $2 million businesses. And so small businesses don't have a lot of money. You can make it back with a few sales. You'd be able to get your money back. And then we also do training where people could come here and learn how to run calls from our operations managers. They can learn how to book calls from our call center. Our call center is 97% booking.
Wow.
That's insane.
Nice. That's really, really good.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Well,
if
what
you do
about
the
the
math,
other 3% though?
Yeah. What's up with the
what
3%?
happened?
Yeah.
well, she got fired. That's who we walked out last week.
2 of them were wrong calls, and he called back and booked them. They were wrong numbers,
Me.
but he booked them anyway.
It was me. I was pranking her. But the or, you know, even accounting, you know, I mean, there's people that don't know how to set up a P&L properly. You can work with our accounting manager and we have a price for any of those sections. Yeah. And you know, the good thing is I don't have to get rich doing that stuff. I can do it as more or less a hobby I'll make some money off of.
So they get you. So it's mostly you, right? But you let them come and so you let them be a part of your team. So it's like they come and shadow your business for a couple days or whatever.
Yeah, they can come and check out our business. You know, we had another company came and visited us the one time, some friends of mine, and they were like, you know, we had no idea a call center could be this good. They were like, it is amazing what your call center does. So we want to come back and just spend like a couple of days just listening to your call center.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's that good and the people would be willing to pay for it, you know, if you're a 70% booking and we can get you to 90%, 20% more business without spending an extra dollar, it's got to be worth something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and most people don't even measure it, right? So they're just guessing.
Yeah.
What's your booking rate? 90% based on what? What I think it is. Yeah.
I think they're really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a new thing. And I know the people here are very excited about it because everybody likes to show off and do the teaching and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been well received.
Do you have any little dogs like we have in our office? Just kidding.
I have my pit bull comes in from time to time.
Just kidding. I heard Marissa.
Probably better than mine.
I saw your daughter running around back there. She couldn't keep.
That was funny.
I'm like, can you get him? Like she's supposed to be entertaining him, and she's not doing a good job.
She only had one job to do all day.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, horrible.
Like
You're gonna have to write her
asked
up.
her to Taco Bell, and she couldn't do it.
All right. Okay. Well, I don't know. So obviously we can, but we miss anything? Is there anything that you wanted to share or a funny story or anything, Jeff? Because we can always cut this and edit it if we miss anything. I know we went on for a little bit here. And I appreciate your time. It's awesome.
Yeah. You know, I truly enjoy it. And I've said it a million times for all that you've done for me and Jim, man, I cannot thank the two of you enough. And so thank you for everything you've done through the years.
Back at you, brother.
Jim, no jokes today. So thank you for that too.
Wait, Jeff, who's funnier, Troy or Jim?
Oh,
serious question.
Troy. I've never met anybody funnier than Troy.
I put up my quote in the comments. You probably didn't see it, Jeff, but a quote that you could always use is, "A poor man never won no moose."
I remember John O'Connor when he was there running it, and I was a sales guy, and it was the same stupid stuff. So it was before your time, and he did it like a silent. Everybody put their most favorite quote on a piece of paper, and he passed the hat around, and then he would read them, and everybody had like quotes, funny ones, and he gets to mine. The same one I quote to everybody if anybody ever asks me. It's the same dumb quote. It's by Fred Flintstone. To be is to do is to be. Doobie doobie doo.
Doobie doo.
And that's it.
Here's a good story I got, a good Troy story that some of us still joke about, is that Brad walked in and said, Troy said, "So how'd that call go?" And he said, "Good. I was like really nonchalant in how I handled that." And Troy said, "Well, how would you have done it challantly?" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, if you did it nonchalant, how would you do it challantly?" So the whole rest of the day, everybody that walked by, "Hey, Dina, how would you do things challantly?" What? Well, you know how to do things nonchalantly. How would you do it challantly?
It's a good question. It's still a good question, right?
Very good.
It is.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. So that being said, let's spend the rest of our day doing everything as chalantly as we can. What do you think?
Chalantly as we can. I like it.
Yep.
All right. Jeff, Rahn, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Chad, Jim, Marissa, awesome. Thank you for the Blue Collar Trade Show, everybody. We'll see you next time.